Good evening, friends and neighbors. My name is Terry Carter, and I am a writer and a poet, and I'm picking up my mic even as we speak. I also have the privilege of directing elder services at our beloved West Medford Community Center, and I want to welcome you to our 20th monthly presentation of First Fridays, Words and Music. On the heels of a great March show featuring Medford's new Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Maurice Edouard Vincent, and Berkeley's own Alana Olatunde, we are back to celebrate one of my favorite times of the year. It is April, and that means National Poetry Month, when versifiers, spoken word artists, and heavy rhymers revel in alliteration, meter, and the lyrical art of the story. So, we've noticed that our broadcast archive with Medford Community Media continues to grow, and that a good number of our past shows are making their way into airplay on local channels 3 and 47. In the meantime, we are videotaping tonight and live streaming the performance and program on Facebook for folks that are doing the online thing. If you're out there watching on your electronic devices, welcome to the show. And speaking of your electronic devices, please put your cell phones on off or silent, unless the vibration gets you too excited. Okay, serious shout out to Yvette Wilkes behind the camera producing the show, and to Bill Hager manning the sound. Couldn't get this done without them. So tonight is another special program, a robust celebration of National Poetry Month on the word side. We are absolutely thrilled to have a fantastic group of folks here to talk with and for you to hear from. So ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce tonight's panel of creative talents. We're expecting one more. She should be here soon. She'll be directed into the scene when she arrives. First, from Medford High School's English department, I'm thrilled to introduce Max Heinig. Max is a highly admired teacher of language arts and a published poet who also lives here in Medford. His poems have appeared in a number of poetry journals, such as Tar River Poetry, Crab Creek Review, and the Columbia Poetry Review. He is also, and we'll get into this at some point, a singer-songwriter whose records can be found online. Beyond this, Max has another vocation, as if he's not doing enough things already, that I want to highlight. Max is the co-founder and the award-winning brewmaster of the Medford Brewing Company, maker of small batch craft beers. And as Max will probably agree, many an intensely philosophical or particularly humorous bit of verse has probably sprung forth when the poet was under the influence of a good mug of India Pale Ale.
I can neither confirm nor deny.
Thank you for joining us, Max.
Thanks so much for having me.
Okay. And I'm also thrilled to have 3 younger poets joining our panel tonight. And as I say, one is on the way. But please join me in welcoming Sophia Chalabi and Chioma Opara to the West Medford community. Both Sophia and Chioma are current students at Medford High, and I know that Max has had an influence on both of them as an English instructor. Sophia is Syrian American. She's 17 years old, and she came back to the United States 7 years ago. Her first language is Arabic, and she doesn't think that she's a world-class English speaker, but I assure you she is. And she's interested in becoming a teacher. Chioma is a senior at Medford High, and she's Nigerian American, and she loves to write. Kia Tay, who will be joining us shortly, is a Boston-based poet and spoken word artist, and she's an aspiring hip-hop performer. Sophia and Chioma, welcome to our program, and Kia in absentia, we're waiting for you. So, at a table of poets, there's no better way to start a conversation than with a bit of verse. So if I can prevail upon you, Max, first, I'll have you step to the mic,
Okay.
not too far away,
Okay.
and why don't you get us started with one or two of your poems.
Okay.
Okay, and you can set it up however you like.
Move it up a little.
The rest of us a little vertically challenged.
Did you get the photo?
No, that's the rest.
Just slide it up.
Slide it up. There you go.
All right. Are we on? All right. I'm going to read you a poem called Winter Guests. Near summer, the sparrows my wife calls affectionately dirt birds nested behind our AC. We woke at 5 to their shrill colloquy. My neighbor emailed if I thought it wise, and more loath to offend than to disturb, I unscrewed the plastic accordion edge and floated the light braids of twig and leaf to the herb garden. But after, I found a powdery blue egg on the nursery ledge, and having overstepped, left it there. That evening, we drove our brood to range beneath the strawberry moon, the Algonquin named for the berries peak, the only one we'll see for 70 years. Unimpressed, the girls scampered down Robbins Farm Park Hill as we picked it, admiring pink, 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 about our final rose moon risen, and we, its fading guests. Teachers on the hill in June in Boston marked the moon in its clear field, the talk of last bells, summer schemes, and students floating away, our years atomized out of relevance to the fugitives from our tempered dens, classroom windows clear again. On the longest night of the year, the science teacher found Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn with ease, its rings seen as a single gold star, and told me that as I touched the egg, the parents would never warm to it again. A bad student myself, I feigned facility, turning back to the straw beneath the berry, the city's graphite, the moon, sharpened for me as a kindness. In July, the dirt birds returned with their stark alarm set for dawn. We let them stay.
Fantastic. Wow. So if the beer is as good as the poetry, somebody's having a good night tonight. Thank you so much. That was beautiful.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so let's talk about this poetry thing, and I want everyone to answer the same question. I'm going to start with the ladies. Chioma, what is poetry to you, and why do you write?
Great question. I don't know. I think poetry is art, is that, and everyone knows that. It's undisputed. If I said poetry is art, no one's going to really walk away with anything profound or any new knowledge. So I think, to me, poetry is a way of speaking. I think a lot of times you speak and sometimes you're not able to really get what you want to say. And I think poetry is a beautiful way, a more human way of speaking to each other. I think a lot of times, a lot of people ask you, how do you feel? Or what do you feel about this subject? Or how do you feel about home? Or how do you feel about this certain person? And I think it's important that you can't just put it in plain words, but you have to write poetry about it, poetry about how you feel and stuff. So that's what poetry is to me. It's a deeper language.
Okay. Fantastic. Well articulated. Thank you so much. Okay, Sophia, can I ask you the same question?
So I relate to Choma. I agree with you. Poetry to me is like a way that I can express myself. Like whenever I feel like something's really sometimes bothering me or something I really love, it's a way to just write it all down and express it and just put my feelings in there. And I play around with the language. I go from English to Arabic. I love it. Yeah.
Nice. Very good. Very good. Well, hopefully we'll hear some of that English to Arabic when you speak.
Will.
Very good. Very good. Max, why don't you talk to that point?
For me, the teaching of poetry and the reading of it is a way to connect to the past. It's a way of connecting to people who are no longer with us and to the traditions of writing around the world. It's a way to connect with the beautiful thoughts and the profound thoughts about the biggest topics: love, life, death, conflict, immigration, everything throughout the ages. I think it connects people across countries, languages, cultures, millennia. For me, for the writing of it, it's a way to both sort of re-experience my life and a way to clear my head. I do a lot of writing without actually necessarily knowing what I'm writing about. It's just sort of a habit, and you write, and then you look at it and you say, did I just make a mess, or do I have something to work with? And then you consider shaping it and turning it into something presentable perhaps, or just sort of moving on. But in and of itself, it's just a deeply personal and pleasurable activity. And if you can manage to write down something that has, I don't know, sort of a bit of a memory attached to it, or something that someone else can experience with it, it's a wonderful thing. When I was younger, I basically wrote stuff that was sort of impenetrable and self-referential, and I thought I was the only person feeling these big emotions. And the older I got, the more I write about the real world, and sort of honor the water, the ground, the people, the things that we actually experience. So I became more of a physical poet, using street names as opposed to, adjectives.
Yeah. Wow, wow. So, and what I always say to, and I manage elder services here at the community center, what I always say to my seniors is I'll never ask you or make you do anything that I'm not willing to do myself. So I think that in fairness, I probably should answer the question too. When I was 16, approximately, at Medford High, I had an English teacher by the name of Eleanor Kukovitis.
Okay.
And I think that was where, kind of the love of writing and poetry in particular sprung forth. And she introduced me to, and I didn't even know that there were black poets, but she introduced me to black poets, Langston Hughes and Audubon Thompson, County Cullen, and the whole notion of the Harlem Renaissance. And then when I graduated, a year after I graduated, I went down to Nashville. I went to Fisk, and there was an eminent professor of English by the name of Leslie Collins, and he had actually spent time in and around the Harlem Renaissance, and had been pals with Langston Hughes, and had known W.E.B. Du Bois, and had known James Weldon Johnson. And I was so awestruck that it stuck with me. And poetry came back to me. And it's kind of been a companion of mine ever since. So I think that what it does more than anything else is it connects us in ways that other things that we have in common don't necessarily. So I love it as a connector of people. And so I think, you all would probably hold the same thing. But I'm going to stop talking because I want to see if I can get Chioma to go to the mic and read us a piece of poetry. Thank you.
All right.
This poem is actually titled, "This Too I Shall Teach My Son." Bastard, bastard, bastard. Sophia, I have not been able to sleep since you said, "What's the matter? Atlantic's got your tongue?" No. Yes. My tongue has grown too large for my mouth. Green cards could have coaxed us out of the sea. Still where a hand is supposed to be could have adopted us. And I do not mean to talk for you, but there has to be a diagnosis for people like us. After all, home is amorphous, lost in translation somewhere. The Atlantic could have swallowed it and spit us out. What will my mother say as she goes through all the aisles of the tropical market, desperate to understand when home became categorized? But the black and blue of the Atlantic serenades us in the middle of the night and makes promises that cannot be kept. May I remind you of how Harmattan flames lapped at your neighbor's house? Miri, rain, water, or ocean, this place, keeper of secrets that was never theirs to begin with, becomes a sacrifice to the Atlantic that does not love you, and born from these flames are our children, the ones that will not have to make sacrifices to the ocean or wonder what home is. We will take them to the Atlantic on their first birthday and baptize them in between our two countries. This is the greatest trick. They will learn hip-hop and know the national anthem. Biko, Rajan, Bastard, born from the Atlantic. I will teach you this one trick. Climb into the tub, fill it with cold water, and hear the Atlantic calling your name. Listen, scream. My darling, you would not believe how much you look like your mother right now.
Fantastic. So that bubbles up from a very deep place inside, obviously. You want to talk a little bit about, kind of the inspiration for a piece of poetry like that?
Okay. So, the person I referenced at the beginning is Safia, and her name is Safia El-Hilio, and she's a Sudanese-American poet, and I really, really do love her, and she kind of what got me back into poetry a couple of years ago, and I remember she does this thing called the Alien Suite, where she kind of just talks about all these poems, and one thing she really talks about is the Atlantic Ocean, and I think a lot of immigrants who are coming from Africa or somewhere close to Africa can relate to the Atlantic Ocean because the Atlantic Ocean is in between Africa, the continent of Africa, and the United States and the continent of America. And I think the Atlantic Ocean is just like, well, I don't know whether I'm from this continent or from this continent. So when you're in one continent, you're American. When you're in another continent, you're whatever that identity has to be. And for me, that's Nigerian. And so, it's sort of like she had a poem. In one of her poems, she said, "What's the matter, Atlantic's got your tongue?" And that really resonated with me because sometimes I do not know how to describe myself or do not know how to describe the things I've experienced or where I'm going in life or where I want to go in life. I don't know how to relate that back to my past or back to my country or what home is. And so I think I kind of ran with that notion of the Atlantic being home for people who feel as if they grew up in between two countries or grew up in between two identities, and it's very important. And I wanted to tie that back in with the experience of another poet.
That's wonderful. It's funny because everybody will draw something different from a piece that's as rich in language and imagery as that one is, and all I could think of was the middle passage. All I could think of is the notion of folks who have been born someplace else and been taken someplace and not be able to find their place in the new place the way they felt about themselves in the old place. It's a wonderful piece of poetry, it really is. Whew. Okay, so this is my second question, and again, I want all of you to answer it if you will. When did you first discover your poetic side, and how long was it before you wanted to share it with others? So why don't you talk to us, Sophia, about that?
Okay, so my freshman year, I had a yellow teacher, and she made us do Dear Diary, where we just write and keep expressing. And once my father and I went to a parent sort of teacher meeting, and she was like, "Girl, you like writing." I was like, "Yeah, okay." And then I went home and I kept thinking about that, and then I took a pen and pencil and started writing, and I'm like, yes, I do like writing. And so I really do love actually writing, and it's just, for real, it's something that just lets out your feelings, and you just feel good when you let it out. Yeah.
So it's a fairly recent love for you. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but you expect that you'll be doing it for years and years to come?
Hopefully, yeah.
Excellent. Very good. Very good. Max, what about you?
I think I started when I was 15,
Mm-hmm.
so I was 3 or 4 years ago. I had a lot of, both my parents are, educators, so as soon as I started, I had a lot of opportunities. Basically, introductions to people who wrote, and they took me to bookstores and said, you can have the books you want.
Wow.
And so, luck and privilege, basically, and also libraries. you know? But we didn't have the internet, you know?
No.
So we went and got the books.
That's
So
right.
I would walk through 10 feet of snow to
Uphill
But there
both.
but the library, you know, was amazing, and just sitting there and finding the books and taking them home and falling in love with it. And in terms of showing it, I have to admit, although you are my student, that I did immediately start giving girls bad poetry.
Is there any other kind to give them?
Well, I guess you could try to give them good poetry, but at least it didn't work, and they knew immediately I was a bad poet, you know.
Well, you're not a bad poet.
Well, it worked out in the end.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. Chilma, what about you?
Like Sophia, I started liking poetry freshman year. Like this teacher I had a couple years ago actually played some like videos of spoken word, but I wrote something that year, and I wrote like one poem, and like it went where it did, but then I didn't write it again for like 2 more years, and then junior year I came to Medford High and I wrote some poetry, and then somehow it ended up with Mr. Heinig.
Okay.
So then, ever since then, like, I've had this new reemergence and this new love for poetry. So I think I really started writing poetry seriously junior year.
Okay. Yeah, well, you are writing poetry seriously. I would say that. Very much so. Well, I already said when it, kind of came to me, but I relate to what you say about bad poetry, Max, because when I wrote my first book, 2010 it was, half of what I thought I was going to put in the book got thrown in the trash because it literally was trash. I really had to relearn the art and the craft because I had put it aside for so long. But fortunately, I had good fundamentals, so I was able to get back to it. This is fantastic. So, Sophia, can I prevail upon you to go to the mic and bless us with some verse?
So, this poem talks about my homeland, Syria. Dear Mother, no one can explain the pain you feel, the losses you've had, the children that you won't gain back. Dear Mother, your children are lost. Your children are separated. Your children need a home. Dear Mother, the regime dominated. Your children are lost. They lost their right to be educated, and you and your children are devastated. Dear Mother, stay strong, even when all of this is going wrong.
So I better be fair, and so I love what you did. Would you talk a little bit about the place that piece comes from?
What's the inspiration?
So, like, usually when I'm just like sitting or watching on Facebook, like there's like this sort of news, and they just like bring you videos from like Syrians from the camps, and their stories, and some of them just cry, and I'm sitting there watching them, I'm like, oh my God, and then like it just like hits me so bad that I just get up and I'm like, dear Syria, dear Mother, because like 7 years is really a long time, and every year's like a year goes by, I'm like, wow, 8, 9, like I want to go back and just miss it, and just all that, whatever's going on there, it's just sad to me.
Okay, well, somebody's playing a song for us in the background. So question for you, or follow-up question for you, does it make it easier for you to be away from home to be able to write about what you're feeling?
Being away from home, actually, yeah, it does make like the feeling stronger to write more about it, and to express more, and to put down more. Like, I feel like if I was there, I'd be like experiencing fear that would just block me from thinking about writing. I would just like be more afraid. I want to hide. yeah, but being away is like, I miss you home, Yeah.
Well, it really comes through in the way that you framed Syria as your mother. I really, kind of felt
I think that
That
all
connection.
Syrians describe Syria as a mother.
as a mother.
Yeah, yeah.
Native land. So I'm going to read a piece, and I'll be doing a bunch of stuff later on. But I want to read this because kind of what you just read, in what you read a little while ago, Choma, kind of made me feel that this is appropriate for now. It's called introspection. Sometimes great people get passed over, skipped, ignored, isolated, marginalized, hidden. Talented and inspired, gifted and anointed folk, avoided, pigeonholed, plagiarized, patronized. Best idea, amazing concept, right solution, key result, beautiful, wonderful, marvelous, miraculous, but it's not quite what we had in mind. It's not the thing we're trying to find. We'll have to leave that good behind. We can't allow this from your kind. Wow, I've been there. Right place at the wrong time. I've been there. Wrong place at the right time. I got the t-shirt and the coffee cup. I got the pink slip and the last pay stub. I got the scratches, scrapes, and bruises. But I'm not going to get dragged into hating or complaining or comparing. No rage-fueled Twitter rants. No cutting, clever, and profane posts, outrageous claims, or prideful boasts. I won't sell up my voice for popularity. I won't trade on my faith for money. I won't covet status and power. I won't curse the truth and court the lie. I'll only sit at the table if they'll serve me with love and respect. I'm trying to live long enough to become a person that God smiles about, that Jesus thinks is cool. No award or trophy or accolade they could ever give me is going to help me with that. No title or promotion they can bestow can guarantee that. The Lord is closing the door on all the hype and bling and foolishness the world wants to attach to celebrity. All the excessive desires and gaudy gains society wants to cling to so tenaciously. My Father has not called me to 15 seconds of fame. For what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? That's real talk. The limelight, the spotlight, the footlights, the bright lights can shine on the last one, the new one, or the next one. It's all good. I'm not passing judgment on anybody, looking to bask or glitter or floss or strut. Back in the day, you could easily say I was styling and profiling with the best of them. Once upon a time, I was steady trying to get my groove on. In a past life, I was sure enough ready for my close-up. A brother kept a fly honey, fine like a Playboy bunny, straight up making money. Life was always sunny, age was never running, living that dream, chasing that scheme, rolling edgy and extreme. But as the years advance, genuine and sincere have become increasingly more precious to me, more essential and fundamental. I'm done with anything contrived, counterfeit, or contraband. Give me something real that won't fade in the light of day. Give me something real before this old life passes away. I've had enough thrills. Now I need something real. Ashford and Simpson had it exactly right. No shade on anybody. This is my test and my testimony. When I get the revelation, I'm going to write it down like my father told me to. If it ends up being a letter, an essay, a short story, a play, a novel, or my poems, so be it. Random House, Simon & Schuster, and HarperCollins probably won't rush to sign me up. Oprah probably won't put a brother on either. I may never get that Maya love, or that Langston love, or that Nikki love. I won't even consider that Whitman love, that Frost love, or that Sandberg love. This is America, and it just ain't that kind of party. That don't matter a bit. It ain't going to be a pity party either. I'm still going to write it down like my father told me to. I may not get a Pulitzer, or a Man Booker, and my Nobel Prize for Literature will probably have to be, as the Kenyan writer Ngugi wa Thiong'o termed it, a Nobel of the heart, where the treasure is in the way what I say impacts the listener's life for good, where the triumph is in joining spirits with one another and putting 10,000 demons to flight. where my name is not on an earthly top 10 list, but certainly appears somewhere on that roll that's called up yonder. I'll just wait on the stoop till my Heavenly Father opens the door He wants me to go through. The rain will refresh my memory of all that He has called me to be. The rainbow will appear resplendently and in all due season. The rising sun will be all the limelight, spotlight, footlights, and bright lights I'll need to see the miracle He created, genuine and sincere, essential and fundamental, His miraculous Nobel of the heart. All right. Thank you very much. Okay, so we're on track. I want to talk with Max a little bit. Max, you're also a musician.
Yep.
Okay, singer and songwriter. So is there a significant break between what you do as a lyricist and a songwriter and what you do as a poet? If so, kind of what's the difference?
Yeah, I think that we've been talking about this at school a lot because it's National Poetry Month, and we talk about songs, and I think the kids are super interested in songs, and maybe there's a resurgence of interest in poetry, particularly in the last couple of years. It's never actually been more popular, partially because a lot of people are writing about political stuff, and that's a way for everybody to get a lot of stuff off their chest. But in terms of the writing of it, I think the idea is that when you're writing a song, you don't want people to have to go looking for a dictionary or looking up all your allusions. I think you want to connect with people directly. So I think you write more simply. I also think that in songwriting, you're almost always writing with rhyme, and you're writing with pretty much with meter, or at least you're following the melody. I think Chum and I can talk about, like, we talk a lot about free verse, and you sort of, there are a bunch of different ways to think about it. One way is just sort of, you're following the pattern of your own thoughts, or if you want to call it your heart or your spirit. But when you're writing a song, once you establish the melody, you kind of have to keep hitting those syllables, those patterns. So I think that the music guides you, and I think if you write a song that other people like, part of it is just the music. It's actually not even the words. We were talking about a song the other day that wasn't very good lyrically, but everyone in the room agreed that they liked it. So we were like, we took it apart from the music, turned it off, just read the words, and everyone was like, this isn't very good. It might have been like Post Malone or something, and which we all liked. And we put it on, we read it, and we're like, I'm not feeling it, it's not so good. And then we listened to it, and everyone was like, this is great. And I think we're talking about James Brown, who I don't think there's a person in the world who doesn't like James Brown, or Bob Marley, right? And Bob Marley's a better lyricist for my money, but James Brown, we're talking about, like, I Feel Good. The lyrics could be written by, a 6 or 7 year old, right? I feel good, I knew that I would. I feel good, I knew that I would. So good, I got you. But if you put it together and James sings it and that's the band, it doesn't get any better on planet Earth.
Absolutely.
So
yeah. That is really, really a good way of talking about it. I remember a comedy routine where I can't remember exactly who it was. I want to say Richard Pryor, but it might not have been Richard Pryor. And he was talking about James Brown, and even the musicians didn't understand what he was saying half the time, right? So one musician, Fred Wesley, said to the other musician, I think it was Maceo Park, he said, Maceo, what the heck is James saying? And he's saying, don't worry about it, we getting paid. And keep playing. So yeah, the music sometimes is the thing.
I think the other idea with a song, there's some overlap between the two, but I think a song needs to have an idea that somebody can pick apart pretty quickly. And we've talked about how titles and songs tend to come from the chorus. But you need to be able to, if you're doing like an elevator pitch for a good song, you need to be like, well, that's a song about something. You need to be able to say it pretty quickly. And I think with a poem, you have a little more time to read it and go back to it and fall into the spell of its mystery, go back and read it again, get new things out of it. It's like a painting you can look at a bunch of times and get different things out of it. But I think a song has to sort of make its connection relatively quickly.
Absolutely. Very good, very well stated. So as you folks can see, our third young poet has joined us, and we're happy that she was able to navigate through the gnarly traffic and finally get here. So I want to introduce everybody. This is Kia Tay. where I gotta get to. Oh, okay, so as I said before, Kia is a Boston-based poet. She's a spoken word artist and she's an aspiring hip hop performer. So welcome to the program. You comfortable? You all right?
Yeah.
Okay,
A
so
little nervous.
okay. All right. Well, here's the best way I find to get rid of your nerves is to do what you do best, and that's share your verse. So you wanna get up and share a piece with us? Okay, you can go right up to this mic, right over here.
Hello.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi everyone. My name is Kia. You can find me on Facebook at Kia Tay. You can also find me on SoundCloud at Oz, O-A-Z. I'm 22 years old. I'm from Boston, born and raised. And, you know, I just like to talk about my community and stuff like that. I got into youth organizing. I got into, you know, a lot of things in Boston, you know, growing up. I went to Madison Park, vocational technical school. I was a female of a trade. I did plumbing, I did apprentice plumbing. So I basically grew up in like the Roxbury neighborhood. I lived there, and I also lived in Dorchester. So I go really hard between those two communities. But I did youth organizing. I kind of look up to our community, what we need and stuff like that, and the conflicts that's happening and stuff that we don't talk about. So when I make music, I'm really passionate about what I do, and you know, I speak my truth at the same time, and I'm also trying to give back to my community as well. I have a show April 13th in New York. I'm really excited about that. I'm planning my trip out. So I wanted to come out and speak to y'all and spread my word and my message to y'all. Thank you. Back to the motherlands. They point their pistols and ask us to raise our hands, or expected to condescend to the contraband and be consumed by hate and demons, quicksand. But like the fool, the joke is always played on us. If we can't rely on each other, then who can we trust them while we lift the weight up? Who's gonna wait on us? We bought our time to feel uplifted. Why is the Christmas time the only time that we feel gifted? Why is it like this generation backspace and shifted? Tote guns start war, but they don't see it in ourselves. We got the innocent killing innocent. Babies picking guns up off our shelves. We pray to God to save us. But who's gonna save us from ourselves?
Wow. Thank you. Come on, sit with us. You can unpack that a little bit. Okay. All right. So I think I know, but you know, I don't want to assume for anybody, but where does the inspiration for a hard-hitting piece of spoken word like that come from?
Honestly, the community. Just honestly being around the community, just being like a part of it and around it, and just being like a product of my environment, I like to say. I am a product of my environment, and I came from a really like urban community, you know. It was really like amazing just growing up and just building a friendship and bonds, as well as learning my lessons and everything as well as comes with it. But not having much, but making do what you got, because I just feel like us as urban kids, we are put behind the start line, like the finish line, well, start line, exactly. We don't start at the start line, but we're put behind it, so we have to work twice as hard. I did go to Boston Public Schools. I'm a Boston Public student. Graduated class of 2015, yay. It was a really amazing experience and stuff like that. So I always want to give back to the community, and just, you know, I just feel like we lack compassion for one another, and we lack passion for what we want. We look on social media, what do we see? We want action, we want murder, we want some tea or gossip, but what about the success of other people? What about wanting more for other people and actually being happy with what we got, instead of looking for the bad or looking for what we trying to see on TV and put it into reality? And we all know TV and reality are not the same. So we also have to like care for one another, and also if we see something, say something. Have love and respect for one another, no matter what.
All right. Okay, so couple of international folks. Everybody's international when you get right down to it, but definitely internationals, Chioma and Sophia. So I want to ask you first, I'm going to ask you the same question in a minute, Sophia. Would you talk about the realities of being bicultural with regard to the things that you write about? Okay.
Actually, something interesting, a term I learned was actually third culture kid. And a third culture kid is someone who grows up for most of their developmental years in a different country that's listed on their passport or their parents' passport. And I think, Sophia and I are both third culture kids. And so I was born in Nigeria, but I grew up for most of my life in the United States. I did do a semester abroad in Nigeria for my junior year, but sort of writing about and growing up between two cultures and two identities, I think it shaped me in ways I can't really express. When I was younger, I used to get very angry about it.
Okay.
And it sounds ridiculous when I say it out loud, or when I'm talking to older. It sounds ridiculous saying I get angry about it. But I went to a very posh, Caucasian, homogenous charter school.
Okay.
And they, I remember I had the accent first for a couple of years, and like everyone used to pick on my accent when I was in like 3rd grade. I was just like, Mom, why are they picking on my accent? Like, what did I say? Like, what did I say that's funny? And I think having to, sort of navigate the different ways in which you are different, the ways in which you are different in the U.S. has really taught me a lot about myself and taught me a lot about the people around me. And now I'm not very angry about having two different cultures and of being from different places, because it allows me to write better and allows me to connect to other people. And I think I no longer identify home as a place. I think we're not defined by the places that we come from or by our background or by what we believe in. I think we're more defined by the people around us, and it may sound corny, it may sound cliche, but I think I relate more, or I feel more at home depending on who's around me. And I think that's the most I've gotten out of growing up between two identities and growing up between two cultures, is that I care more about the people I'm around. I care more about that. And I think that really shows in my poetry that it's not me. I try to navigate these two countries, but I also write a lot from the perspective of other people, because that's what growing up that way has given me the voice to, has given me not the authority, but the privilege to see other people's perspectives. And I'm very thankful for that.
Wow, thank you very much. Excellent. So, Sophia, same question, the realities of being bicultural and how it impacts what you write about.
Like what Choma said, I have like a little accent, and I hate it personally. Actually, I used to hate it, but then like recently, I'm starting to like look at it, and I'm like, well, my accent identifies me, my language, and that I'm like, although I was born here, but hey, I have another culture.
Yes.
And before I didn't like it because, like, until this day in school, I feel like everyone is segregated. Like, everybody likes to be in their own group, Like, even when you walk into the cafeteria, like, every table, it's just their own group. So that's why I started hating it. It's like, I don't want to have an accent. I want to be like everyone else in here. I want to make more friends, be popular. But then recently, it's like, I'm almost going to graduate. I make really good friends like Choma. Like, so I'm good. So being biculture, I feel like I'm lucky to be biculture. Like, there are more things that you feel, and that way there are more things that you write. And just writing really, just like psychologically, I believe it just releases everything out of you. You just feel freedom, like, yay.
So do me a favor. Like the last few sentences that you just said, speak them in Arabic.
Okay. So الكتابة يعني لما أكتب شعر أحس حالي هيك مرتاحة، كل شيء بيطلع مني، أشعر بالسعادة. So
Wow. And I asked you to do that because, one, I think it's a beautiful language. And I think what happens is because of everything that we're dealing with, you know, as a country right now, there's some demonization of the language and the people that speak the language. But I think that if we have the opportunity to have those folks with us in the room and can listen to the lyrical sound of a beautiful language. I mean, when a native French speaker speaks French, there's nothing like it. When a native Nigerian speaks Igbo, there's nothing like it. When a native Hispanic person speaks language, or, you know, whether it's, you know, from Spain or Puerto Rico or Costa Rica, there's nothing like it.
It makes the person unique.
It absolutely
Yeah.
does. And I wish we could get to a place where when everybody's in the room, everybody can do what they do. And that's why we do First Fridays, because when everybody's in the room, everybody can do what they do. So, and we really enjoy it. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Okay, so I want to do the commercial because usually, you know, we go too far into it and I don't do the commercial, I get in trouble. So the first commercial is, those of you who are of age and so inclined, please try some of the great adult beverages coming out of the Medford Beer Company. Max, where is it available in or around this area?
We'll be doing this. Medford Brewing Company is available at your local packing. We're in 230 locations at medfordbrewingcompany.com.
Yay! Very good, very good.
Right now.
That's all right, that's all right, that's all right.
Public school teacher.
Yeah, that's okay. So I did say adult beverages and if you're of age, so the disclaimers have been put in place. Okay, so the second commercial is the book commercial. There are 4 of them, okay? So, and they're going for around $15 a piece. The last one, Brown Skin and the Burden of Proof, is a little bit more expensive because the publisher said I had to sell it for more. Okay, but they're all brown skin in something. Brown Skin, the Bread of Life, the Brand New Day, the Beautiful Faith, and the Burden of Proof. And I'm pretty happy about it. I'm working on my 5th one right now. It's what we do. So I want to hear again from the poets. Oh, one other commercial. West Medford Open Studios, April 27th and 28th, or 26th and 27th?
26 and 27.
26 and 27? Okay, so in probably close to 30 locations around the city, private houses, some studios, right here at the West Medford Community Center, all types of arts, glassware and canvas and fabric arts, as well as literary arts, spoken word, poetry, storytelling, whatever you like, some of it's going to be here. There'll be music. So avail yourself of the opportunity to go around the neighborhood, pick out a couple of spots. You can only go one day, If you can go 2 days, you'll see all that much more. But it's a fabulous feast for the senses. I've been here at the community center doing poetry for the last couple of years. Unfortunately, we're going to be out of town this year. My wife and I are going down to Brooklyn to see my daughter in one of her productions, so we can't be here. But proud papa, proud mama in the audience. But anyways, come on out to West Medford Open Studios. My friend, please, would you show everybody that fabulous T-shirt?
Oh, yeah.
One of a kind.
WMOS.com.
Yeah.
Get your very own.
That's right. Thanks,
Fantastic
Dan.
event, 27th and 28th.
All right, 27th and 28th, okay, of May, Saturday and Sunday, here at the community center, and like I say, literally dozens of other private home studios at the Hobbs Brooks. And it's not called that anymore. The big school on High Street. So go, see, do. All right, so Max, will you give us another piece of your poetry?
Sure.
Okay.
I might have to bring it up on the phone.
Okay, take your time.
Okay. While I do this, I just want to say I've been really proud to be your teacher twice. And and I've been able to, although not.
Mike in the mic.
You didn't hear me?
No.
I'm sorry. I was saying I've been really proud to be your teacher twice, and it's been a real pleasure to be able to mentor you this year.
Nice.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
All right, so what's that one called? What?
Whatever you named it.
I'm gonna do one about our experience, our unpleasant experience with guns in schools from the teacher perspective. It's called Lockdown. I tell the kids stay calm and lock the door, find my red card to hang in the window if need be, and check that there will be a path to a gunless room, then direct them to the corner by the bookshelf. They sit on their hands, some girls on each other's laps, spines close, all arms and shin bones, boys nearer to beauty than some will ever be again. One will ask for music, one will ask to text a mother, one will without asking. One will want to and not. Together, close as empty desks. These who trust that though I haven't learned all their names yet, that I would block the door for them. Perhaps in the imagined lounge that does not exist the way some think it does, a jaded veteran laughs off the talk of a hawk in the hallway and says he'd fly from the window, hightail it through the back exit, leave charges to their chances. But that's a fancy and a lie. He'd stay. They keep us because we stay.
Wow.
Thank you very much. Wow. Wow. Okay. Kid, we haven't heard as much from you as our other guests, so please, would you bless the mic again? I'm gonna have you go over here and you can tell us what you need to tell us.
I think it's been really good. Thank you. All right. This next piece, it's a little bit more, kind of more like more detailed, kind of not like vulgar, but more like in depth of the community and stuff like that. What I see around, and like what I want to do with my music right now is talk about stuff that we don't talk about, or people that are shy to talk about, or we just act like that don't happen. When I say that, I say like in my community growing up, just in high school and stuff like that, early pregnancies, teenage pregnancies and stuff like that, you know, step up fathers, you know, a lot of kids get scared and they don't want to step up and be fathers, stuff like that. I see that happen to my friends. I know people like that. We don't talk about that, so it's like I want to put that in my music. Another thing I want to put in my music, the gang violence. It's getting a little bit too crazy out here, and like a lot of people are just being so like oblivion to like a bullet has no name on it. It could hit a little kid, a grandmother, a mother, anybody. It could hit anybody, you know. We're not having respect for one another in our community, so I rap about that as well. And I rap about a whole bunch of things in my rap. So I'm just getting right into this. Tell her that you miss her, yeah, just tell her how you feel. Tell her you want the baby, you never want a pill. Tell her all the court dates and attitude you couldn't deal. So you hopping girl to girl just to forget how you feel. They do it for the block but can't do it for the culture like O'Neal. We smoking weed and popping pills just to heal. Thinking a fake butt and a wig is some type of sex appeal. What happened to the roots? What happened to the culture? What happened is keeping it cool just like the kosher. That's the song.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm trying to figure out what happened to the roots and the culture, so you're gonna have to give us the rest of it somewhere down the line. Children, would you give us another piece?
So this next poem is actually called Conversations with the White Man About Home. White man asks, "Where are you from?" As the story goes, Adam was lonely, and so a rib was sacrificed so I could sit before you, to breathe and to give life. Or, as the story goes, I was made from the same dirt. White man says, I mean, which country are you from? I baptized myself in the Atlantic and have not looked back since. And perhaps you'll be an exception, but most men think it's beautiful how I can exist in two places at once. White man says, so you call yourself a magician. After the 4th month of living under the watchful sun of Nigeria, my neighbor told me my color has spoiled. Too dark, too dark. I think I told her it was genetic. White man says, you have your mother's eyes. When you say mother, do you mean parent or country? White man says, you ask as if there's a difference. I mean country and write about woman. Men want to know where I'm from and ask about my motherland. As the story goes, I was left alone in the hospital after labor. I am homesick. I mean, I am seasick.
So much power. Absolutely, so much power. Sophia, please.
Cool. Yes, I am cool. Okay. Yes, I am cool. Wearing a hijab, you say, so what? I am still cool. I am human. I laugh, joke, swim, play sports. I am strong. I dance. Why are you shocked? Do you think I have no life? I party. I string my hair or curl it. I wear tight dresses, long dresses, short dresses. With or without my hijab, I still enjoy myself the way I want to. I go out with my friends. I love. Love, you say? Yes, love. I choose to love, who to love, and be me. Let me illuminate this for you. With all due respect to religious people, they do not choose who we can be married to. We make our own choices. I speak 2 languages fluently, English and Arabic. Arabic, a beautiful language. I'm not talking about the language you hear in the movies where Arabs sound like the stereotypical terrorists. I'm talking about هذه اللغة. لغة القرآن, لغة السلام, لغة الغزل. هذه اللغة لغة الجمال, لغة التواضع. من عرفها أحبها ومن أحبها حافظ عليها. Now this is my language. This is me. I pray, I fast, I make sujood. I mention Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayka ya habibi ya Rasulullah in my prayers. He's the man I love the most. I pray to God to bestow peace upon him, his actions and compassion. I follow his sunnah. He taught us to balance between religion and life. Another way to say, be cool. And I pray to Allah, رب اجعلني من متبعي رسولك وسنته. اللهم اجعل أخلاقي كأخلاق الحبيب صلى الله عليه وسلم. An awesome person. A person loved by all believers. The person closest to the heart. He is my ideal person. He, like I should be, is cool.
Wow. Thank you. Wow, that was cool. Very good. Very good. Very good. Well, my friends, that about does it for the words portion of our gathering tonight. And you know, I could do this all night, y'all know me. So Chioma Opara, Sophia Chalabi, Kiate, Max Heine, thank you so much for your creative gifts and your poetic spirits. Thank you for your thoughtful and personal reflections in tonight's conversation. I hope to be hearing from and about you all for years to come as you continue to change the local landscape with your talents and your artistry. Thank you for being a great audience for the words portion. We're not quite done yet. So as we collectively give snaps and claps to our poets, Thank you so much for your attentiveness and interest in our discussion. We're going to shift back now to a lyrical groove and get into the heart of the further entertainment for the evening. The technical team is going to move things around just a bit, and then I'll be back to more adequately introduce tonight's entertainment. Thank you so much. It's been great. I really, really have enjoyed this conversation. I really hope we get to do it again sometime soon.
Gary might be modest. If these guys are warming up beforehand, stick around. If you stick around, people can work your time. I guarantee it.
If you help to produce and host a program like Words and Music, and you've done it 20 times, close to 20 times, you do get to have some say in what happens from month to month. So when April rolls around and you're a poet, you do everything you can to keep the poetry in the forefront of what's happening. Still, the music has to be good, because that's really what your audience has come to expect. I mean, we've gotten really, really good at putting people on this, for lack of a better way to say it, stage and entertaining folks in West Medford. So the fact that it's free is no alibi for just being average. So to me, tonight is special. I get to take the stage with three musicians that I really respect and whose talent is unmistakable. On the keyboards, you know him and you love him. He's widely engaged and well respected in these parts. Please welcome Rich Dark 5 Lawrence. To my left on bass, with West Medford ties to this very day, right over behind us on Mystic River Road, he's got people, is Albert Vines. Vines, if you're hip to it, is a sought-after player, and his musical credits in R&B and gospel are extensive. And then rounding out our trio is our beat keeper on the drums, Nate Stringfield. So now Nate has played literally all over the world and was a member, I mean, he's still a member by blood, but he was a member by playing of Pittsburgh's popular Stringfield family, okay? A soul collective who had top 10 hits on the British charts, top 10 hit on the British charts called the Stringfield Hustle. Now, I want to say something about this. Now, back in the day, people who know me, I danced a little bit. I went, in 1975, I actually went out to LA with another sister from West Medford, and we danced in the Soul Train National Final. Right? Now, at the time, right, the hustle was all the rage, all right? And when I had never heard the Stringfield Hustle before. Man, when I heard the Stringfield Hustle, it got me thinking about the South Soul Orchestra, and TSOP, the Sound of Philadelphia, and Van McCoy, and partying down here at the West Memphis Community Center. So, Nate Stringfield, you brought me back. And I really appreciate it. But tonight, my brothers are going to do me a solid, as we say in the hood. They're going to back my play as I bring you a collage of some of my favorite pieces from my 4 books of brown skin poetry. We're rehearsed and we're ready. Are you ready too? Yeah. All right, let's get this party started. This piece is called From the Back Window. From the back window of a '63 Chevy Impala wagon, we we watched the world go by. On summer road trips from a Mystic Valley suburb just north of Boston, straight to the heart of Dixie. No belts or booster seats, but lots of pillows and blankets, a big metal cooler and a few Samsonite suitcases. The Chevy was all checked out and ready to run. New brakes, lube job, and fresh wax. The window was washed and we could see clearly. Some things just looked different from the Chevy's rear flank. Dixie's heart looked different, like it somehow didn't remember my daddy was the son of the South. He couldn't do everything he wanted to do, but he did everything he had to do. Mississippi still didn't love black folk a whole lot. Neither did West Virginia, Tennessee, or Alabama. Daddy was real careful at night. He didn't make no mistakes. He knew exactly where to stop and where not to. Daddy knew where we could eat, and he knew where no colors was still the de facto law of the land. We didn't understand all of it, but we understood enough of it to know that America the Beautiful had more than a share of ugly to see from that back window. Still had strange fruit and such, burning crosses and such, fire hoses and angry dogs, pointy white hoods, lots of guns and good old boys, Confederate flags and such. Still had rednecks, crackers, and poor white trash with rust bucket pickup delusions of grandeur. Still had more than a share of ugly to witness from that back window. But we loved those summer road trips. 1,500 miles of Interstate 81, New York and New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Maryland, bridges, boroughs, bovines, rolling hills, and open sky, twilight and twinkling stars, and miles to go, even as we slept, in spite of that American ugly. We loved the cold fried chicken and those green glass bottles of Coke, McDonald's cheeseburgers and shoestring French fries, Hostess Twinkies and Drake's Devil Dogs, road food for hungry kids, playing Go Fish and singing She'll Be Coming Round the Mountain, and only occasionally asking, are we there yet?
Yes.
We loved pulling the Chevy into that driveway right beside Uncle James's sedan DeVille. We could smell the love coming from the kitchen. Jessie would burst into the drive with those big country hugs, all bosomy and brown. Her apron was stained with peach cobbler and chocolate frosting, delighting us with down-home dialect and a dinner menu to die for. We loved Aunt Jessie's catfish, collards, and potato salad. Uncle James would signify to every house on the street, my baby brother's here from Boston, y'all come round later and meet him. He'll be at my dry cleaners tomorrow afternoon, then back here for a barbecue, y'all come by. We loved the way Uncle James seemed to run Greenville, in spite of that American ugly. We even loved sanctified Sundays. We'd be all gussied up in the one set of dressing clothes Mama packed. Black pants and crisp white short sleeve shirts for me and Scott and Jordan. Bright sundresses for Crystal and Candy. Shiny Buster Browns and Mary Jane shoes all around. Church was loud, proud, and long, with frenetically flapping funeral home fans, and lots of serious-looking ladies in white suits and cotton gloves. Every song sounded like Edwin Hawkins Singer's Old Happy Day. The preacher hooped and hummed a lot and sweat a small palm. We each tried to keep a few of those shiny nipples we got to put in those deep brown paper plates with the fuzzy felt bottoms, but Mom wasn't having it. To God be the glory. Everybody we saw from the back window of that Chevy wagon was family, or so Uncle James claimed, and Daddy's accent got even thicker than it was at home. He became even more a true son of the South. It made Mom's lashes flutter and she got a bit clean. Staying with James and Jessie made Greenville home. Daddy was so relaxed. He was a big brother, he was a baby brother from the big city who made out good and had stories to tell. He brought out us wide-eyed innocent kids home to their southern roots, where curious relations could look them over and love them up. We had some kissing cousins out in the country, a little faster and fresher than one might suspect from the sleepy South. My older brother didn't seem to mind though. By then, basketball and girls was all he knew. And he didn't mess around with the basketball too much during those hazy, hot days and those electrifying nights. We loved going out to the farm where Uncle Lincoln and Aunt Odessa had all those chickens and riding horses and that big blue ribbon hog, biggest pig in the universe. We didn't even mind peeing in the outhouse and those mutant deer flies. It was the Delta, and that deep down south, everything was bigger, scarier, and more wonderful than anything we'd seen just north of Boston. They had lightning bugs and dragonflies that looked like small planes, hoot owls and chickens that still moved after their heads were chopped off. They had huge hissing cockroaches and coyotes with eyes that glowed like hot coals in the moonlit Mississippi night. Everything was bigger, scarier, and more wonderful than anything we'd seen north of Boston. And if only for a hot July minute, all us babies, born way north of the Mason-Dixon, belonged to the Delta. Warm, black, and delicious, cold, white, and suspicious. A contradiction in terms of endearment. A hugging or a hanging in the right place or the wrong time. If only for a T-90 spell, all us babies, born way north of the Mason-Dixon, had southern roots, like cotton shoots, all green and moist against the sun-baked Delta sod. We were no longer West Methodites. We were blood-born southern acolytes, novice, but native, sons, daughters, and heirs to the bigger, scarier, and more wonderful. From the back window of that 63 Chevy Impala wagon, we watched the world go by as we left that big, scary, and wonderful Dixie domain, heart of the Mississippi Delta, homeward bound for a Mystic Valley suburb just north of Boston. That piece was from my third book, which is Brown Skin in the Brand New Day, A Poet's Renaissance. This next piece is from the fourth book, which is Brown Skin and the Burden of Proof, A Poet's Revelation, and it's called Wakanda Dreams. In our most dangerous dreams, the people could fly. We wore fur and feathers and spoke the language of the airborne birds and the beasts of the field. Mother Nature was a godparent. Rivers, rolling hills, rocky cliffs were minor deities, cousins to the soul of the land. We were kings and princes then, in flowing raiment and golden jewels, and glowing chains of our own choosing, and the mass of our brother spirits. We couldn't be bought, we couldn't be sold, we couldn't be hidden away or stolen to distant shores. Though the oceans knew our captain and our kin, though the seas knew our soldiers and our sails, though the nations knew our black skin and our bold schemes. In our most fragrant dreams, we were women of the hearth and the heavens. We were dancers and seers and seed growers. The might of Amazon mist and Spartan tryst welled up in our loins. Before Artemis hunted, before Helen enthralled, before Nefertiti reigned, we battled with sword and spear, and killed our prey without mercy or fear. We loved like the lioness of the pride. We kept the spirit of family inside. No demon in hell could ever divide us from the hearth or the heavens. We are still the sweat that beads on the brows of the white devils, as they bring hate and death and sin to the heart of our mother's garden. They know us in our smoky eyes. They fear us, muscled black thighs. They envy our beauty, they covet our pride. They could not conquer Shaka or Sundiata or Mansa Musa, and the Maasai yet run with the gazelle and the zebra and the thundering herds of wildebeest. The fables of Wakanda were not so far away from the truth of things, from the dangerous fragrance of our dreams, and panthers do yet prowl. Wow! In the fearsome corners of the African night. So the backstory to the music is, Rich and I have been talking about this for a little while. And originally, Rich and I were we were gonna come do this. And Rich said, well, I got some fellas, let me bring a couple of my fellas. And so we ended up with Vinesy back here and with Nate Stringfield. And I couldn't be happier. We got to rehearse, and I've never rehearsed with a band before. So, I've experienced something that I never experienced before, and I like it a little bit, It got good to me, so, I'm trying to figure out how I can get a little band together and go on the road. But anyways, the first tune that you heard probably was familiar. That was Frankie Beverly and Mays. That was Happy Feelings. And the second tune was called Soweto. Is that you, Master Kayla? Dollar Brand. Okay, so we're gonna do this tune called Black Girls Rock. Okay? And we're gonna do it to a background of Michael Jackson's The Lady in My Life. It should never come as a shock when a brother tells you that black girls rock. I won't be singing an anthem or an ode, but my eyes bear witness to the true mother lode. The history books may seek to conceal all of the wonders that my sisters reveal. So pull up a chair and have a listen as this poet describes why black ladies glisten. I want to begin with the queens of the Nile, Sheba, Makeda, and Nefertiti, leaders of legendary beauty who ruled the land by guile and duty. In African realms of wealth and glory, they commanded the territory. My sisters could go to war and fight. Han-based Amazons owned the night. Their saga lives on in Marvel glory. They're the Dora Milaje in Black Panther's story. That warrior spirit was passed along as Harriet Tubman moved the throng to follow freedom's dangerous light on underground tracks in the dead of night. Now Sojourner Truth would hail this mission and join that cause for abolition. She said it time and time again, if it's not fit for women, it's not fit for men. Shifting it forward for y'all to see, the undefeated Layla Ali. That boxing diva never went down, becoming the gem in Muhammad's crown. And with her quest to conquer flight, Bessie Coleman flew out of sight. Licensed to fly by a French federation, she soared beyond discrimination. My bronze youth heroes withstood the hate that always found the sisters' plate. Cocoa tan and ebony fine, black and proud by God's design. So many heroes to share today. Let me move on along this way. Perhaps you'll know a few by name as I point out their walk of fame. Nearly confined to slavery's chair was Sarah Breedlove, the millionaire. Hailed as Madam C.J. Walker, she was a doer, not just a talker, building her business with style and grace, beautifying the hair of our race. Sister Rosetta's rock and roll heart gave this genre its very first start. The twang of her honky-tonk guitar was known by musicians near and far. And yet, Billie Holiday's complex soul revealed through jazz the artist's role to make each song cut through the blight, to make each melody sound just right. Accomplished and gifted, seeds to sow. These are women our children should know. The list gets longer every day. Here's the record I must play. Do you know of tennis great Althea Gibson and Wilma Rudolph of track and field? Have you heard of Venus and Serena Williams and that Angela Davis wouldn't yield? Have you read Toni Morrison's words and witnessed Oprah's media power? All poets revere Maya Angelou and Phyllis Wheatley. What about you? Rebecca Lee Crumpler, first black female doctor. Josephine Baker, Paris cabaret shocker. Miriam Makeba, the global performer. Peanut Johnson, the Negro Leagues barnstormer. Lorraine Hansberry wrote A Raisin in the Sun. Catherine Dunham created Dance for Everyone. Nina Simone's talent took jazz up a level. And Zora Neale Hurston watched God beat the devil. Cicely Tyson gave us Jane Pittman Stripe. Eartha Kitt, wow, brought Catwoman to life. Constance Baker Motley, pioneering jurist. Dorothy Vaughan, NASA's mathematics purist. Mother Rosa Parks sought to bravely integrate. Michelle Obama is a real president's soulmate. Shirley Chisholm rose and ran for the Oval Office, and mighty Misty Copeland is a pro and not a novice. Brave Alberta Scott was Radcliffe's first brown resident. The elegant Leontine Price set an opera precedent. Isn't bronze greatness truly self-evident? Of course, this list is short and sweet. Too much brilliance to shine on one sheet. Too many strong and dynamic sisters. Writing it all could lead a brother to blisters. So please don't be amazed. I've been around the block and I've seen enough to know this thing that black girls rock. And since these rhymes I drop can help the brain's retention, consider this an exercise in ignorance prevention. Cause history books may seek to conceal all of the wonders that sisters reveal. I'm bringing you real evidence, complete historic reference, expressing my deep reference, and some would say some reverence, extending humble deference, ensuring our inheritance, avoiding all malevolence by building this intelligence with simple words of elegance. But let me slow my flow. Being a poet, it's hard, you know. I realize that I'm on the clock, so like I'm saying, black girls rock. I love this. Okay, so back in the day, let's see, was it Roy Ayers? Roy Ayers, bad R&B jazz brother. He composed a tune called Mystic Voyage. So we're going to connect Mystic Voyage to one of the pieces from my fourth book called Beloved Country. This is Beloved Country.
Excuse me a second.
Take your time, Vine. Take your time.
I almost didn't make it.
The brother came out of his sick bed to play tonight, so give him props. I can love this country too. I didn't have to be born on these bonny shores. I didn't have to be a son of the Pentecost, Quinnipiac, or Mohican. I didn't have to have a pilgrim pedigree or be a Connecticut Yankee from King Arthur's court. I can be the Dahomian, or the Pole, or the child of Caribbean suns in Amazon shade. I can love this country too. My green card was a welcome ticket to a new life in a new land. My passport was stamped with new hopes and new dreams. My suitcases were packed full of new aspirations and some apprehensions too. Perhaps I didn't see the harbor sign that said, give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. The wretched refuge of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. Perhaps I didn't see the lady in the lamp, but I did see the gleaming city on a hill, and my soul responded. I can love this country too. I can love its rolling meadows and its gospel songs. I can love its asphalt highways and its born to run bars. I can love its teeming ghetto, its urban sprawl. I can love its old spires, new minarets, and golden menorahs. But can America love me too? Can she love my curry spices, roti and oxtail? Can she love my hijab and my henna tattoo? Can she love my Hajj, my Mecca and my Medina? Can she love my Cinco de Mayo, my Dia de los Muertos? Can she love my kente cloth, dreads, twists, and locks? Can she love the skin I'm in, be it ebony, ivory, dulce de leche, or cafe au lait? Can she love me by name? Shekinah Glory, Muhammad bin Saeed, Anastasia Kozak, Cleophas Dorset, or Claudia Gonzalez. Can she love me by name? And what if I am among those huddled masses in that wretched refuge or that homeless tempest-tossed? Will she still continue to lift her lamp? Or do war, rumors of war, IEDs, sleeper cells, and fake distortions make me a pariah to be eliminated, a scourge to be annihilated, and a plague to be exterminated? I come in peace. I love this country too. I love its boundless opportunity. I love its generosity of spirit. I love the audacity of its hope. I love its rolling meadows and its joyful songs and its little red Corvette. I love its teeming ghetto and its urban sprawl. I love its old spires, new minarets, and golden menorahs. I come in peace, and I love America too. I come in peace, and I love America too. Excuse me, Nate, don't you be so nasty back there, all right? All right now, come on. Beautiful, beautiful. All right, so we're gonna do a little quick medley to a tune called Rodney's Blues. We're gonna do a tune called Sanctified Finger. And then we're gonna do, off of that tune, we're gonna do a tune called Blues for Baby Boy. your sanctified finger. You won't have to tell me twice to drop it, or eat it, or stop it, to start it, lay it down, or put it back where I found it. Your sanctified finger, like a maestro's baton, conducts the symphony in the living room, the bedroom, the kitchen, in that big old country backyard. From the front porch or the parlor window, you see it all and keep it in tune. Your sanctified finger, like a blacksmith's hammer, tempers the youthful exuberance and points out the error of my sinful ways. Before church, after school, across the street and around the block, you touch that nerve and bridle the wild colt. Your sanctified finger points the way to the switch you want cut, or the belt you want fetched, or the rod that corrects the brazen and the bow. It's the "this is gonna hurt me more than it hurts you" finger, and the "don't spoil that child" finger, and the "I'll make them behave" finger, and the "mind your manners" finger, and the "help me Holy Ghost" finger. I know what it means. Shut it up, break it up, pick it up, pull it up, button it up, clean it up, finish it up, or fold it up. You won't have to tell me twice to drop it or eat it, to start it or stop it, lay it down or put it back. I know you mean business when you wave your sanctified finger. Blues for Baby Boy. Baby Boy bore his pain like it belonged to everyone. He wasn't secretive or obscure, embarrassed or detached. He invited his friends to come. He required his family to remain. He beckoned his heavenly Father to intercede. Baby Boy was open and transparent, as if he knew that we must see it all. He was present, if not perfect. He screamed at his reflection. He wore his heart on his sleeve. He hinted at dark dreams. He cursed his demons vigorously and continuously. But Baby Boy dug the funk. Parliament, Bootsy, Funkadelics, Spiz and Wiz, Give, the Brothers Walk, Earl, Saida, Black Sheep of the Family, and Doc Vibes. Y'all know the deal. The Mothership Connection, the Post and the Park. Got to have that funk. Baby Boy was still funny. The jokes and the quick wit beguiled. The one-liners kept hitting, even as he ached for us and for himself. His discomfort distorted his smile. His belly bloated with bile and bitterness. His fragility made the laugh less robust, but still, the jokes and the quick wit persisted. Baby Boy had angels that encamped all around him. He had sisters that fussed and a mother that prayed that he'd stay beyond her own predicament, and brothers that wept and wailed and travailed before God. Baby Boy was a survivor who seldom relented and never surrendered. He fought the thing that came for him. He fought it like T'Challa fought Killmonger. He fought it like Ali fought Foreman. He fought it like Shaka Zulu fought the Brits. He fought it like Harriet Tubman fought the chains of her oppressors. Baby Boy had love for us. His teeth were a bit askew, and his grin suffered from the mechanics of his distress. But each visit empowered him. Each prayer emboldened him. Each connection enfranchised him. He knew that he was loved and cherished too. Baby Boy was the best of us, enduring the revolt on his organs with an equal measure of testiness, toughness, and true dignity. He refused to be punked. He refused to be pitied. He refused to be placated, pacified, or pushed aside. He kept making his way down to Giles and clocking in. Coronas and Crown Royale, you all know what I'm saying? Baby Boy had hands of stone and a heart of pure gold. We always gave him a puncher's chance. We always knew that he could get by with a little help from his friends. Friends that kept praying and calling and snatching Snapchatting and Twitterizing and Facebooking and stopping by because they believed in the hands of stone and the heart of pure gold and the puncher's chance too. Baby boy told cancer, if you're gonna whip me, you best be prepared to throw down. I'm not going out like a sucker or a chump or a sissy. It may be big baby boy to me and mine, but you call me Mr. Carter, you hear? That's Mr. Carter, fool. Baby boy went home not because we didn't love him enough, not because he felt some kind of way about anybody here today. He went home because God the Father likes to laugh too, and baby boy is still funny. So remember the jokes he told, remember the quick wit and the one-liners, remember the hands of stone and the heart of pure gold. Remember that each visit empowered him, each prayer emboldened him, each connection enfranchised him. He knew that he was loved and cherished too. Baby boy, Scott Matthew Carter was special. He was the best of us, and he left a little piece of that specialness right here with all the rest of us. That's our story, and we're sticking to it. Thank you. When my baby brother last year, went home to be with the Lord, that was one of the pieces that I had for his homegoing service. And we always get a little choked up when I'm doing that one, but he was a funny cat, you know. If you knew Scott, man, that dude had jokes. He had mad jokes. He had a very dry sense of humor. You know, he liked a little taste from time to time. You know, and Giles is a liquor store down the way that he used to work at, so he was the neighborhood's packy. And he took care of folks real well. We loved him. We love him. We'll always love him. You know, I'm sorry I didn't mean to put my sister to a place of tears, but I know they're tears of joy because we loved that brother.
Yeah.
Loved him. All right. So I'm going to go in a slightly different direction now. Those pieces are actually both in book 4 as well. Brown Skin and the Burden of Proof. And this piece that I'm getting ready to do is as well. For those of you that love jazz and you know are a little familiar with the jazz canon, there are several songs that are considered to be like the standards of American jazz. And one of them is a tune by John Coltrane called Naima. And I wrote this piece really as an homage to that track. And this piece is called Reprise for Naima. So my brother's back here, you know, Naima wasn't necessarily in their catalog, so they were good enough to learn this cut for me from scratch, and they really do a wonderful job with it. So I'm looking forward to the backing. He would blow this note in the midnight air, aloft in the ether it floats out there. Staccato cadence sets a mood of bluesy lyrical attitude. Improvisational mystery like Monk's piano epistrophe or Miles' tone poem in a silent way and Flanagan's piece at the end of the day. Syncopated in sharp bright tone, a countdown to stardust, a twilight zone. Like a blue train running against the night, setting the pace, then out of sight. With Hartman crooning or bags on vibes, trios, duets, quartets, and tribes. The blues, the ballads, the avant-garde, incredibly gorgeous, impossibly hard. Giant steps move us miles ahead. cooking up bar for Harlem street cred. Melodies hand to the harmony wed, piano's lullaby fresh in the bed. Rhythm rocks where the drummer led, rhythm rolls where the bass man sped. Rhythm birthed what the saxophone bred, rhythm heard what the master said. How could he make the bitter taste sweeter? How could the tortured mind delete her? How could the mellowed scotch be neater? How could the smoke from each cigarette create blue notes that cast the net? Create blue beads of cascading sweat. Create blue haze that confounds regret. Create blue nights that we can't forget. Coltrane's notes are a crystal scale, a velvet scream in the urban travail, the heavenly riff of a love supreme, the pungent riff of a lover's dream. Coltrane's notes are a cozy romance, the breeze and bounce of a bop and a dance, the languid lilt of Stray's lush light, the cadence cut by the artist's knife. Coltrane's notes are standard refined, like gold in a pan or gemstones mined, the sparkling glow of a hopeful dream, hot black coffee with a hint of cream. Coltrane's notes are Naima's reprise, like madness that brings a man to his knees, or sadness that comes when lovers part, the gladness removed from the balladier's heart. A tight arrangement cuts the gloom. The melody says that love's in bloom. The harmony spirit engulfs the room. The bride says yes to her lyrical groom. The groove and the beat that jump the broom. The kick drum resounds with a sonic boom as genius is birthed in a soul-filled womb. Musical mythology mocks a twisted path the hero walks. With shield and sword the hero stalks. The temptress shakes her twisted locks. Medusa snakes his vision shocks. Holds up the mirror to stony blocks. The harp and the horn melt icy rocks. Serpents retreat and symphony talks. Love's door opens as lyric knocks. Coltrane's notes are a roller coaster, a hallelujah and a paternoster. The glorious jolt of the maestro's hand, the saxophone titan is in command. Coltrane's notes are a crazy rhythm, the squawk of chords played in playful schism. The frenetic pace of Mr. PC, the coolest round midnight will ever be. Coltrane's notes are genius refined, like gold in a pan or gemstones mined, the sparkling glow of a hopeful dream, hot black coffee with a hint of cream. Coltrane's notes are Naima's reprise, like madness that brings a man to his knees, or sadness that comes when lovers part, the gladness revived by the balladier's heart. Thank you. That is beautiful. That's so beautiful. And I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about them back there. That's beautiful. All right. So we'll change up the groove a little bit, and we're gonna do a couple quick pieces to a tune called Valdez in the Country. This is Donny Hathaway.
Not George Benson.
Not George Benson. Not to be confused with George Benson. This piece is called Hard by the Mystic. They gave my people the lowlands, and not much of it. Just a few streets hard by the river. Banks turned a blind eye behind the red lines, and it wasn't about the money. Class was an irresistible force, race was an immovable object. Perhaps it wasn't a written rule, but white folks knew the legal tool to keep us in our place, in this Mystic Valley space, where slaves and rum and chips had built some mansions, made some millionaires, and hid some old money. So it was hard by the Mystic we went, muddy and a bit turned down. The only place where one could be brown in this ancient Middlesex County town, where we named it and claimed it and made it our own. Even in the heat of the summer, when the shores were parched and the soil was rank with the decay of aquatic alchemy, we were one with the river. We followed its flow to the lakes and the sandy beachfront. On our own Jordan shore, we baptized and blessed our brothers and sisters in Christ. We caught the little fishes to go with our loaves of bread and became the teeming multitude who our Lord Jesus fed hard by the mystic. We became community. We commanded unity. We embraced the children and raised them up in the way they should go. As the river ebbs and flows, the tides return and our fortune grows. A few more streets become our homes. Houses on Sharon and Kin on Jerome. From Duggar Park to the railroad tracks, the white folks make more room for blacks. The color line recedes a bit. Church and school become the center of it, and the ville becomes the heart of it, hard by these mystic shores. Now the worm has surely turned, and folks who left have surely learned things couldn't stay the same. The muddy mystic most days is clean. The banks are freshly cut and green. Faces once distinctly brown are not the only ones in town. The streets that once were our confines must now embrace what gentry defines. Condominium culture, bedroom convenience, university sprawl, access, egress, invest, and dispossess. Now those lowlands have become the highlights of a trending city, and sometimes success isn't pretty when it's at the expense of your black and brown and tan friends. And yet, the river still turns and bends from where it begins to where it ends. The only place where one could be brown in this ancient Middlesex County town, where we named it and claimed it and made it our own. So this piece is called Gentrified, and it rolls right off of that thought. They talk about renovating, reimagining, and rehabilitating. They rave about new visions, new horizons, and new perspectives. They revel in bistros, boutiques, and boulangeries. They fairly skip to the subway station. They bike on the painted pathways. They Uber and Lyft religiously. Everything's on trend and on point and au pair. They've codified the way they speak about what used to be urban blight, eyesores, drug dens, crack houses, tenements, and slums, the ghetto. They modified the way they speak about what we now see. Makeovers, investment properties, B&Bs, brownstones, townhouses, condos, and co-ops. Everything's vintage, bohemian, artsy, and retro, with creative green spaces and lofty open places. Speculators bought lower than low, patiently waiting for the change, waiting for the junkies to move on, waiting for the squatters to give up, waiting for the black and the brown and the tan to fade. They waited for the graffiti to erode. They waited for the chain link to corrode. They waited for the families to implode. They waited for the prices to explode. They waited and they calculated. They waited as folks capitulated. They waited as folks migrated. They waited as folks evacuated. Then the realtors came and dispelled white folks' fears. The architects came and re-engineered. The designers came and changed the veneers. The builders came and the new folk cheered. Now they've moved closer to work in the city, to quartz countertops that make kitchens pretty, to charter schools, nannies and drivers, and bike frames made with carbon fiber, to Starbucks lattes and artisanal breads and articulated sleep number beds, to million-dollar urban showplaces and fewer black and brown faces. They showed us their heels when they took the white flight. Then they crept back in the dead of the night. With fat bank accounts, they are IPO wealthy. Their move to displace is measured and stealthy. All the potholes now smoothly paved over. Brown folks got schooled like a curry crossover. White folks doing a long-term sleepover. Exclusive, obtrusive, extreme. clover. Changing the context of neighborhood with subway tile and exotic wood. Harlem, Detroit, and Chicago South Side. Boston South and surely gentrified. Emptied the church, emptied the steeple. Now it's a spot for the chai drinking people. Took down the poles and the basketball hoops. Now it's a park for the dog walking troops. No more rec and community center, but a new parking lot for the monthly renter. Some folks hang on, but the die is cast. The fire consumes and the torches pass. Invisible lines are drawn again, and the folks can't buy what the banks won't lend. Some folks keep their roots in the ground, but the waiting game is deep and profound. They tour the streets noting history, yet what they want is no mystery. Harlem, Detroit, and Chicago South Side, a reoccupation is being applied. The model cities that trickle down no longer suited to black and brown. The urban sprawl that used to be the only homes we got to see is now the place for a growing infusion, is now the space that the gentry is choosing. Low-rise projects slowly yield to equity building leases sealed to folks who came from far afield, who won the fight when the poor folk appealed, to lawyers and doctors and high-tech heroes with trust fund ones and hedge fund zeros. No preserving community, no real thought of legacy. A small plaque here, a street sign there, nothing that bronzes the atmosphere. Oakland, Brooklyn, and New Orleans, all made targets by whites with means. Even in venerable Chocolate City, the news in the district inspires some pity. Killing the concept of neighborhood in ways they've never understood. And now we witness the slow, painful slide as the village we built becomes gentrified. Wow. Wow. All right, so we had some more things planned. We're right up against 10 o'clock. Will you give me a few more minutes?
Yeah.
All right, sure. That's not a resounding yes. All right, well, let's see what we can get to. Let's do Native Son, and maybe we'll end with that. The tune is called Sun, Moon, and Stars, and the piece we're going to do is called Native Son, Native Son. Sun, S-O-N, then Sun, S-U-N. Child of native soils, native sun, and silent subjugation in this dream called America, in this scheme called America. My ruddy roots run deeper than the blackest coal of the West Virginia mountainside, deeper than the river Chisel Basin of Bryce Canyon, deeper than the massive, tangled tendrils beneath the giant sequoias and the proud New England pines. I was 1,000 nations before 1,000 nations invaded my shores for this dream called America, for this scheme called America. Long before the conquistadors challenged Chapultepec, long before Vespucci challenged Colombo, long before the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria, long before the Mayflower in the Middle Passage, my soul was invested in these ancient sovereign shores. I was Comanche and Cree and Choctaw, Sioux and Seminole and Shawnee, Arapaho and Apache and Apalachicola, 1,000 nations before 1,000 nations invaded my shores. I was tied to the land, to its spirit gods and its dancing deities, to the song of the drum and the chant of my ancestors. I made daily sun salutations. I made nightly lunar lamentations. I sacrificed to the Great Father and the bountiful mother of my existence. I tilled her fields gently, hunted her forests reverentially, and fished her waters respectfully. I ran with the wolves and followed the eagle's flight on the wild Appaloosa. I wore the feathers of the hawk and the grizzly's hardy coat, the Brahma bull's hide to honor my kills and to become the essence of my animal kin. I didn't plot counties and towns and cities on a grid. My people had no concept of owning Mother Nature's bounty or stealing the Great Father's purple mountains' majesty and amber waves of grain. And still, I was 1,000 nations before 1,000 nations invaded my shores. I was Blackfeet and Blood and Bannock, Inuit and Iroquois in Iowa, Wampanoag and Wichita and Winnebago. I never knew smallpox, whooping cough, cholera, and 1,000 other plagues until 1,000 other nations invaded my shores. I never knew chattel slavery, environmental atrocity, and wholesale genocide until 1,000 other nations invaded my shores. I never knew raging alcoholism, widespread drug addiction, rampant TH suicide, and relegation to the reservations until 1,000 other nations invaded my shores. I've seen my proud native tongues all but disappear amid the centuries-old assault of the King's English. My Rosetta Stone of wondrous native poetry decimated, and the storyteller's tapestry forever lost. I've seen my greatest heroes, my wisest chieftains, most elegant matriarchs, and fiercest warriors confined to postage stamp memories and historical footnotes. From Sitting Bull to Sacagawea, from Crazy Horse to Hiawatha, from Red Cloud to Pocahontas, from Jim Thorpe to Geronimo, confined to postage stamp memories and historical footnotes. I used to sow into the fruited plains and fish the pristine waters and hunt in the verdant forests. I never sought to sow a casino cash crop, suited to busloads of blue-haired elderly white women, resort-bound retirees, and inveterate gamblers. But the monuments that shamed me sometimes paid for my survival. I never sought to see the feathers and fur, the tapestry, carving, and beadwork of my ancient craft become the decorative symbols of slots parlors and gaming halls. But sometimes the monuments that shame me pay for my survival. And I am yet Kiowa and Lakota and Kickapoo, Mohican and Micmac and Mohawk, Ottawa and Osage and Oneida. I am yet 1,000 nations amid the 1,000 nations that now call this nation home. I am the child of the tale of tears and the reservation's somber reality, living quietly and crying out softly from the shadows of the heartland, crying out softly to the dream called America and the scheme called America. Rich Dark 5 Lawrence on the keys. Nasty Nate Stringfield on the drums. Albert Vine on the bass. And yours truly, TC, the BSP, Terry Carter, the Brownstone Poet. All right, so that's it for this evening's Words and Music. You don't have to go home. We've got some refreshments in the back. I've got books. I've got a table. So if you're interested in buying some books, come see me. I'm going to sit back there for a little while. But I really appreciate your attention and your participation in tonight's evening. I want to thank again the ladies that came and sat on the panel, the gentlemen as well. Hope y'all have a wonderful night. Hope to see you again. Words and Music in May. We've got something new. We don't know exactly what it'll be, but it'll be something good, I promise you. Have a good evening, everybody.